giving you a bit of a historical perspective of what's been going on in terms of the botany in Madagascar. And I wanted to start with this ancient part of the story, which is the botanist Philibert Commerson, French botanist, who was around in the 18th century and was one of the first people to really start studying the flora of Madagascar. After he sailed around the world with Bougainville, Commerson started to study the flora and fauna, and he stated, "C'est à Madagascar que je peux annoncer aux naturalistes que c'est pour eux la véritable terre promise. C'est là que la nature semble s'être retirée dans un sanctuaire particulier pour travailler sur d'autres modèles que ceux auxquels elle s'est soumise ailleurs. Les formes les plus insolites et les plus merveilleuses s'y retrouvaient à chaque part." Donc, back to English. I put that in because I think it's very, very prophetic. How could he have known of all of the things that have been discovered in the centuries that followed? You can see that he did travel widely. The map at the bottom there shows the travel that he made with Bougainville. Sadly, he didn't make it back to France. He died in Mauritius. So while he was botanizing in Madagascar and in the ocean. Moving on, of course, the legacy of our botanist colleagues who lived a long time ago are the specimens that they made, which are still, of course, very important to us because they document what was found 2,000 or more years ago, 200 or more years ago. And there is a common specimen at the herbarium in Paris, where I'm based. And there is a photograph of the same species taken more recently in Madagascar. So at least one species that is still doing well. It's a species of Hamalium, for those of you who are interested. So, botanical exploration continued through the 18th and 19th century with botanists from many other European countries. These included missionaries such as Baron, who collected extensively and seemed to be doing more botany than missionary work, as far as I can tell, and made a very, very significant contribution to our knowledge of the plants of Madagascar. In the 20th century, under French colonial rule, the floristic exploration of Madagascar continued, and the project to start a series of flora volumes treating the entire flora of the country was started. But it was interrupted by the First World War, and only seven families of the 231 then recognized were actually published. And they were to be printed and published in Madagascar. There's the cover of one of these, a typical flora. It contains identification keys, descriptions, and illustrations, but as you can see, fairly simple compared to what's available to us now. So, following the World War, treatments for 182 more plant families were published up until 2001, mostly by French botanists. The progress has been increasingly slow, or was increasingly slow at that stage. Since the 1980s, however, there's been considerable renewed interest in the flora of Madagascar, notably at Missouri Botanical Gardens, Kew Gardens, and the Gina Conservatory, and many others. During this period as well, we're starting to use electronic databases and also starting to do much more training of Malagasy personnel to assist with the inventory work that is needed. We also have new approaches and new tools to compile and analyze the flora. Of course, these days, phylogenetic work, studying molecules is a part of what we do. Mobility in the field is also important, and the ability to do mapping, such as we see here. High quality colour photos, now digital of course, are contributing enormously compared to what the French were able to do with their earlier volumes of flora. Oops, sorry. The other important contribution in recent years is the widespread scanning of herbarium specimens. Many of the world's largest herbaria have now scanned specimens, and these are available, many of them are available online, and the possibility of seeing specimens opens up the possibility that all of those old type material that is stored in Paris and other overseas countries can be studied by Malagasy botanists as well very easily with an internet collection. So this leads me on to the main focus of what I've been doing for the last 20 years. At Missouri Botanical Garden, we decided as our work continued, as our compilation of collections and information and knowledge of the country advanced, we decided we wanted to develop a catalogue. At the same time as following the slowdown in the flora production, we felt we needed to make use of modern technology, databases, and so on to move things along to at a faster level. So I'm just taking a page of the catalogue of the plants of Madagascar, more or less at random, although it's one of my personal interests, the genus Clerodendron. So we have developed, using the project module within the Tropicos database, treatments like this. As you can see, there's information here, literature information about this particular genus. And there it is zooming into another part of the page which doesn't fit on the screen, a list of the species that are currently recognized. And if we look at one of them, we'll see that there is a treatment of that particular species and photographs to go with it. All of this information is freely available to anybody with an internet connection. We welcome contributions from other people, from other botanists, other observations, and so on. We are looking at ways in which we can expand this, and one way of doing this might be to use it as a source for the project that we're here today discussing, but that remains to be carefully looked at. And just to finish off, I just want to make mention of the fact that we've got very many images. We're always wanting more images. The images are extremely helpful. They're always linked to georeference specimens that are stored in the herbarium as well. And we currently have over 64,000 images of plants from Madagascar in the database. 13,000 currently accepted names of plants in the database, of which more than 12,000 are vascular plants. The others are mosses and the like. And typically, and this I think is the most interesting statistic, typically 60 to 90 newly discovered species are described every year from Madagascar. So we haven't by any means got to the end of it, despite the visions of the ancient botanists recognizing the importance of the flora. We still haven't really got it all worked out. And here, of course, in our database, the ability to look at all of these photographs that have been compiled, zoom in on them, and get more information is really a valuable tool for us. And that's the end. Thank you for listening.